So is it a pre-trib, mid-trib, or post-trib rapture? That's the question that many people have. But before we talk about something that popped off the page in Genesis chapter 2, I kind of want to give you some background before we discuss that kind of topic, because there's something that's pretty neat. So hopefully you stick around and check it out. But in Romans chapter 5, what we learn is that Adam is a type of him who was to come. So we recognize Adam, and we are told that he is a type of Jesus who was to come. So when you read about Adam, recognize that he is a type. But what is a type? What does that mean? A type of Christ refers to a person, event, or object in the Old Testament that foreshadows or prefigures aspects of Jesus Christ's life, mission, or work in the New Testament. This is called typology. So when you read about Adam being a type, Adam is, in a sense, foreshadowing aspects of Jesus Christ, in his life and his mission and whatnot. Now, with all that in mind, let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 22. In Genesis chapter 2, this is where God puts Adam in a deep sleep, and after he puts him in a deep sleep, he removes a rib from Adam's side. It says in verse 22, "Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man." Now, this is where it gets pretty neat, because what you see here are these colors are what I want you to pay attention to. So he, God, brought her, Eve, to the man, Adam. So God is bringing Eve to Adam. Now, why this is so interesting is because of the order of operations. We are told very specifically that God brought her to the man. We are not told that the man was brought to her. We are told that she was brought to him. And that is very important to understand. The Bible doesn't give us filler words. It's not telling us things just because it's trying to meet a certain quota on, you got to have 500 words on your essay or anything like that. No. This is important details that we are given because we need to know them. And so I just want you to appreciate how specific it is. And so how this plays into the overall general sense of the pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, whatever rapture is to just appreciate what's actually going on here. Because what you see is God the Father brought the bride to the husband. It's not the husband is being brought to the bride, it's the bride is being brought to the husband. And I think that is very significant. So Eve was the bride, and she is being brought to the husband, Adam. Now, in this sense, Adam, what we talked about already, Adam is a type of Christ. And so in this picture, you can see Adam is a type of Christ, and Eve can be viewed as the bride, and what we understand about the bride is representing the church. And so the church is being brought to the bride, the church is being brought to the husband. And I think that's really neat. You see these details kind of just casually slipped into the scriptures, and we just read on over them without even thinking about it. And I actually didn't see this before the Bible study that we just got done doing on TikTok Live. And it's just so fun, finding these things and seeing this kind of stuff, because it just, bam, just right in your face. But hopefully you can see it. And if you do, then it's pretty neat. But another thing to talk about here is the bride. The bride here is Eve. Now, what I want you to recognize about Eve is that Eve is a Gentile bride. The reason why I say she's a Gentile bride is because currently at this point, there was no distinction. There was two people on earth. It was the man and the woman, and there were no Jewish people. So everybody was considered a Gentile. So she is a Gentile bride. Now, what's fascinating about Gentile brides is that when you search the scriptures, what you find about them is that there are no references of any of them ever dying. I'm not saying that they didn't die. Of course they actually died, but there's no description or verse that specifically says a Gentile bride died. And I think that's significant. That's something that we need to pay attention to. And so just like how there's no description of any Gentile bride dying, that seems to be a type of the church. So the bride is representing the church, and we understand that, the church can be raptured up, which is, in a sense, there is no dying going on there, which I think is very kind of cool to see it. So the bride, the church, it's a model. This Eve, the Gentile bride, seems to be a type of the church, just like how the man, Adam, is a type of Jesus Christ. Now, one more thing real quick. In regards to the rib, out of Adam, a rib was taken. So Adam basically paid for his bride by his side. It was taken out of his side. And so his side was opened up, and he received a bride by his side opening up. And just like what Adam did to pay for his bride, in a sense, you have Jesus having his side also being opened up, and in result of that, he paid for his bride as well. And so you see the connections back and forth, and it's really, really neat. This is just how I see things. You can take it or you can leave it, but I just want you to appreciate how awesome the Bible is, because it's 66 different books, but it's all one integrated message. And once you start to see that the message is all together, it's a story, it is all talking about Jesus, and it's always going to be about Jesus, we need to get pumped up about that, because how amazing is that? It is so fun finding these things and connecting dots and being like, wow, this is what this means, this is what this means. I mean, it is clearly God breathed. And so we need to get lit up about this kind of stuff and tell people about Jesus, because I believe if you're a born again believer, you and I are on a rescue mission down here. We need to be telling people about Jesus because time is short. I think this is why we need to ask God to teach us to number our days, because if we do that, we're going to start living differently. We're going to start loving differently. We're going to start speaking differently, because we know that time is short, and we're going to try to glorify God with what we have been given in whatever area of life, whatever part of the field we are in right now. And so we need to tell people about Jesus, because they don't know. And so if they don't know, then how will they be told unless we tell them? We need to tell them. And so we need to tell people that it is for by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, that it is a gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. That the gospel can be found in 1 Corinthians 15, that Jesus died according to the scriptures, that he was buried and rose again on the third day according to the scriptures. That is amazing. We need to not worry about all the other shiny stuff like, Nephilim and angels and all this kind of stuff like a lot of people are talking about here. I'm like, that's fascinating, but can I tell you about Jesus? We need to keep the main thing the main thing. And so hopefully this encourages you to do that. Thanks, guys.